Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. What we find from the Quran in several places where the Anbiya ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for clarification, for ayat. And there are many examples, Zakaria, Ibrahim, Isa ibn Maryam, the Hawariyin asked, can you give us a ma'idah min as-sama? So, what we learn from all of this is that there is barakah in asking questions. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that when these Anbiya asked questions, revelation came down, which is now being recited in the final revelation until Yawm al-Qiyam. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he was asked, how did you become an alim? كيف أصبحت عالما? He said, بقلب معقول وبلسان مسؤول, by a heart that absorbs ilm. Obviously you have to have a soft heart to have that, and a questioning tongue, constantly pondering, constantly, what is the ruling on that, what is the ruling on this, how can I benefit? Therefore there is a lot of khayr in asking questions and trying to find out and revising, etc. So the question here, the first one, is it shirk to wear, is it shirk to swear, is it shirk to swear by anything other than Allah, like the Kaaba? What do you think? What's the answer? Why? Excellent. Okay, good. He gave me a reason as well. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man halafa bighayri Allah faqad ashrak." Anybody who has sworn by other than Allah, then he has done an act of kufr and shirk. But you gave me a reason. What's the reason again? So then why? Excellent. It is part of Tawheed because we give dominion to Allah even in our wording. Nobody believes. Now the question is asking, I swear by the Kaaba, for example. Can we say that? We say that's kufr, that's shirk. It's not allowed. It doesn't take a person outside the fold of Islam, but he has done a major sin. Why? Because the Kaaba cannot do anything for you. Despite its respect that we have, this is the level of tawheed that we have. Therefore, the answer to this question is that, is it shirk to swear by anything other than Allah? The answer is yes. And that could be major, and it could be minor forms of kufr or shirk. Second question here, how do you go about advising Muslims who think celebrating or saying Merry Christmas is not haram? You advise them, you remind them, you explain the ruling to them. What we learn from the surah of Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years, he took different approaches. He spoke to them individually, he spoke to them in groups, he spoke to them openly, he spoke to them privately. Likewise, what we learn from that are techniques in da'wah, where a person would speak to the person in a manner that is going to be beneficial for that person. This is very important. It's very important because unfortunately many of us are still young and we're still learning, and we've got this level of love and zeal, and we find certain narrations where some of the Salaf were in a particular manner, so we want to adopt that because we want to be like them. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah gives us a really good understanding. He's saying all of these texts from the Quran, the Sunnah, and the examples from the Salaf, who's benefiting by it? Me, the speaker, or the person that's listening? So if I see somebody who is celebrating Christmas, I'm going to advise that person, yeah? Am I going to advise that person in a way that I think is good? Or is it that that person attains a remedy and they come back to the correct way? What's the purpose of us speaking to that person? The whole purpose is that we are trying to save that person, and we have unity and brotherhood upon what is the haqq against, that we can go Jannah together. Therefore, what we have to understand when it comes to this word of advising and nasiha, ta'awun, whatever we want to call it, it has to be done so that the person that we are speaking to is the one that is benefiting. And you can't become selfish in this. Because many people often they become, I am going to be harsh because this is the way of the Salaf and I don't care if that person doesn't like it. That's the wrong attitude. What did Ibn Taymiyyah said? He said boycotting, nasiha, all of this with the objective of that person benefiting. You already understand the religion. What's the point of you being harsh? That person's going to run further away. What have you achieved? Absolutely nothing. Finished?
Any more questions?
Yes.
So, when you meet somebody who says to you, Merry Christmas, what should be the best answer if somebody says that to you?
If somebody greets you with the words of kufr, you cannot reciprocate with the words of kufr. If you know the person, then you explain to them. This is how it is. But obviously, if you're in the shop, a complete stranger, and they've said something to you, then you can just say thank you or something like that. You don't need to respond, because now the ulama have gone to the extent, and this you'll find in the madhab of the Hanafis, etc., that any form of approval is kufr. Any form of approval is kufr. That's how serious they took it. Even if you help the person and give him directions towards the festival, they have said that that is kufr in itself. Allah protect us. Now this is a very good question, because everything that we talked about in the lecture and the question itself, we have to understand, like we just answered in the previous question. Is the objective of us not answering back so that we can be selfish and we can be harsh towards them? Or is it remedy for that non-Muslim who is misguided and who believes that God has a son? It's no doubt the remedy. So the person has to bear that in mind. Whatever is going to be a remedy for that person, that has to be administered. We are all doctors now. And we have been entrusted with the book of Allah and the Sunnah. There is no Nabi that's going to come. That's the honor that Allah has given to us, the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Any nation that came before, when Allah got angered, He sent to them a prophet, and He got rid of all the other people. The good people passed away, the bad people were punished. They started again, new Nabi. Is that going to happen now? It's not going to happen now. Allah's not going to send another Nabi. Allah's not going to send another book. What me and you have now is the same thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to do with the people that came before, except that He's given it to us now. This book is not going to change, so we don't need another book. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is not going to be distorted and forgotten until the Day of Judgment. It's not going to fade away. But when people start deviating, Allah's not going to send a prophet, He's going to send you. Or are you going to take it? That's the question. Therefore, it is upon us to take this religion seriously and preserve what this religion has given us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us ability to do that. But when we are engaging with people inside the religion, outside the religion, the idea is that we want people to be saved from Iblis. He is evil and he is disgusting. If he had a chance, he would take us all out right now without any rahmah. This is how evil this creation is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a veil between us and Him. If we could see Him, it would be a punishment. If we could see Him, it would be something disgusting and abhorrent. Can we not see what His allies are doing in the dunya from men and jinn? The sihr and the oppression, the kufr and the twisting of aqeedah, the manipulation. This thing hates us with a passion. And quite often it's not the other person's fault that he's being deceived by this thing. That's how evil he is. He wants to take you to the fire without you even knowing. That's how evil he is. But we know this. And we are from the awliya Rahman, inshaAllah. So this is the amana upon us. Going back to this question and your question, brother, is that it is upon us to remain firm on this and to revise this point, and revise Aqeedah, and revise Manhaj, and revise these really important things, because Iblis will come. He's not going to leave you alone. You don't think because your name's Abdullah, you're in Nottingham, you come into the masjid, you recite the Quran, that he's going to leave you. No. In actual fact, he is so evil, he will use the thing that you think you are going to Jannah by to take you to the fire. That's how evil he is. That's how manipulative he is. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm and salama.
Yes. Say if someone did some good deeds and committed shirk major shirk just once, and then they sought forgiveness for that major shirk, do the deeds that came before become null and void and be on the scale, or?
This is a view. Okay, so the question is that if a person does major shirk and he apostates from the religion, so to speak, when a person does that, all of his deeds will be nullified. The Prophet ﷺ has been addressed by Allah, لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَا يَحْبَطَنَّ. All of your deeds will be erased if you were to perform shirk. And in actual fact, we could add that to the lecture. Why is shirk so severe? I mean, we didn't have time for it, but one of the things, Jazakallah khair for your question, as to why shirk is so severe, is that it nullifies the deeds, because Allah hates that deed so much of shirk. If a person makes tawbah, do those deeds come back to him? Now this is the issue between Ahl Sunnah and the other sects. The Khawarij say, no, he's in the hellfire forever. Some of them say that he has tawbah. Some of the other sects say, it doesn't matter, you'll still be a Muslim. The Murji. You can do whatever you want. As long as you recognize Allah is exists, you'll be alright. Another form of irja in the society that we live in is that, okay, I am a Muslim, but I am also British. So I need to live with the values and the culture of the society. So they drink, I'll drink. They got haram animals as pets, we'll have haram animals as pets. We have to live. Therefore, there are different boundaries on this spectrum. Ahl Sunnah say that if a person makes tawbah, all of his deeds will return back to him, and this is from the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I have two questions, but I want to ask, which I think is the most important one. For example, there's a lot of people, like they're married and they have birthday. If they celebrate like birthday and the marriage thing, I don't know what they call it.
Anniversary.
What do they call it?
Anniversary.
Anniversary. Say for example they do this. One, is it haram and what category is fitting? Anniversary, birthday, what category? What do they class the Muslim? Two, if they offer you cakes and things pertaining to this, you know about it and they hand it to you, what should the Muslim do? Should they reject it, eat it, have it, bring it home?
Very good question. So he's got two questions. Question number one is that if a person partakes or if a person celebrates a haram festival and celebration, what's the ruling on that person? The person is doing a sin. And depending on the type of celebration, it could be a major sin, it could be kufr, like we said a moment ago. Does that mean everybody that does a bad deed, he will then be labelled as a sinner? I'm asking. Why not? If you see a person who smokes, may Allah protect us, can you say that this person is an open sinner and he is somebody that's going to the hellfire? If you find a person who's got his trousers below his ankles, can you say that piece of denim there is in the hellfire? That piece of denim in there is in the hellfire? Because the Prophet said, "That's for the campaign." No. Can we say that?
It depends on if they understand if it's a sin, yes.
This is important. So now, part of our understanding and dealing with the person that we want khair for, we are the ambassadors of the religion. Let's go back to that viewpoint. You know something he doesn't know. He genuinely doesn't know. How are you going to treat him? So now there is an action of the person doing the action, and then labeling, and this is something that we have to understand. We are not trying to say that we are detaching the person from the action. He's doing the action, he's doing something which is wrong. But again, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The Prophet ﷺ was a mercy to mankind, and we have to carry that mercy on. We want that person to come to Tawheed. We want him to come to Jannah. So we don't throw labels at him, but at the same time we have to understand that he is a sinner and he is doing a sin. But maybe he's got excuses, maybe there's a weakness, whatever. We try and we be patient with him and we bring him back. Are we allowed to participate? No, we are not. When we understand that this is a day which is sought after itself, and this is just a normal day, then you cannot. Because, and this is very important, this is connected to what you were saying and everything. And this is a very good understanding of the religion that we need to understand, whether it comes to festivals or anything else. The Muslim stands for what is the truth. He stands for what is the truth. And you can never go against that, because you will be questioned on that on the Day of Judgment. So whether it's a festival or not, if a person says, what's wrong with congratulating the non-Muslim? No, we stand for the truth. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude to you. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to insult you, but this is something, I cannot say this. I cannot say happy God has a Sunday. I can't say that, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's not true. How can I say something which is not true? So whether it's festivals, whether it's anything in life, this is the sincerity of the Muslim. When we understand these deep, intricate points as to what this religion is telling us, it really should change who we are as people. Yes, brother.
I have a good question. Do you know if, like, you were born in a Muslim country,
Yeah.
from young, and then you got brought into an English community like England, English community like not how we are living here, you wasn't getting told about, like, your family didn't tell you about Islam or anything, and you was committing a lot of
Haram.
sins.
Yeah.
And then as you got older, you got told about, like, Islam. Was your sins still there, or?
The question is asking, if I was born into a Muslim family, but then brought up by a non-Muslim family in a non-Muslim environment, and then I ended up creating and committing sins because of the fact that I didn't know, would I then be sinful? The answer is no, you won't be sinful, because of the fact that the message has not come to you, inshallah. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows where you are in your position with Him. This is why the ulama have said, if a person can find out, he can find the right answer, but he rejects it, or he becomes negligent, he knows that, okay, well, I know there is something else, but I'm just going to ignore that, then you will be sinful. Then you will be sinful. Connected to the question earlier, is that if a person genuinely thinks, okay, well, it's fine, there's nothing wrong, then inshallah you won't be sinful. But now, what do you do now that you know that it was sinful? What do you think we should do? Another important principle of this religion is don't think that you have done enough. Don't think that your tawbah has been accepted because you don't have guarantee. We have good thoughts in Allah, but how do you know? Have you got guarantee from Allah? This religion is the only religion which tells you you have not done enough in goodness. Every other religion will say, as long as you are a member of our faith, you're good. This is the only religion which tells you to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wholeheartedly. So I will say, don't despair on what is in the past. Concentrate on what is right now, and increase in getting closer to Allah. Allah will erase all those bad things that you did, whether you were sinful or not.
The second part of the question,
Yeah.
Like if I give you cake and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like from that celebration, whether even Muslim do it as well, so you can find a Muslim that celebrates a thing which is around, but you go to the house and might give a gift from that celebration. You knowingly, what should a person do in that situation?
If you know that there is a festival or celebration which is haram that is happening, you cannot partake in it. You cannot greet because of what we said earlier. Because of what principle? Because of it's not real. It's not true. We cannot. If you call me tomorrow and say, can you just come to my house and we'll have a nice meal together for the sake of you being my neighbor, I will do that. That is real. That is good. This is not real. I'm very sorry, John. You are a very good friend of mine, and I will mow your lawn tomorrow for if you are really upset with me. But I'm just sorry I can't do it. Because this is what my faith teaches me. So you cannot partake. You cannot give. You cannot greet. There's an issue with the ulama as to whether you can receive. So if John knocks on your door and he says, here's a cake because it's Christmas, can I accept it? The majority of ulama say no. You have to have a complete disconnection with their festival because of this principle that we will not accept anything because of this is not anything connected to the truth. If you come tomorrow and say, here is a neighbourly gift, that's good. There's another view from the companions, Aisha and Ali and others from the companions, that they said, and this is what Ibn Taymiyyah says in Iqtida Sirat al-Mustaqim also, rahimahullah, is that you have to see is that if there is a greater good in accepting, because accepting does not necessarily mean that you approve. It basically means that you are showing, not acceptance, showing good manners. I was like,
Tolerance.
no, not tolerance, but like, you're being soft with them still. You're being gentle. You're dealing with them in a kind manner, and by not accepting it, it could create further problems. I mean, if somebody gives you something which is halal for you to eat, some sweets or things like that, and it's not connected to their festival, no slaughtering or anything like that, and I'm of the view that this is stronger because this is what the companions did. And this is the exception on the condition that there is a good, there is a reason involved, that there is a benefit involved. Not that you accept all the gifts because it's a good time and I can accept everything from everyone. Yes?
Rejecting gift is not sunnah.
Rejecting, but now this is muqayyid al-hal, this is because of the festival. There's a young man at the back there, yes.
I have a question. If you're in a poor family and you have a friend who is rich and he gives you a gift of some food and your family aren't they're not rich enough to provide food, are you allowed to take the gift?
We ask Allah to give strength to all of the Muslims that are weak. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enrich all of the Muslims that are poor. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give shifa to all of the Muslims that are unwell. And that He replaces oppression with justice wherever they may be. If a person is not well, if a person needs something, if a person is poor, then there is no harm in him getting his situation alleviated with somebody that wants to help him, whether he's a Muslim or non-Muslim. Does that answer your question? I feel like there's a bit more to the question behind what you're asking. The question is asking, if there is a poor family and there's a rich family and the rich family gives to the poor family, can the poor family accept from the rich family? The answer is yes, inshallah. Question here? Yes, brother.
I was going to say, see, for example, if someone gives you chocolate, says Christmas gift.
Yeah.
What if you take it and then not eat it? You can either throw away or give it to homeless.
Yeah, it's up to you. The issue here is not about whether you eat it or not. It's about whether you accept it or not. Whatever you do after is entirely up to you. You can sell it on eBay. You can give it to your cat. You can do whatever you want with it. The issue is, if I accept a gift on the day of this person's festival, have I approved of his kufr or not? You see the question here? Once I've accepted, I can do whatever I want. Or once I've rejected, the issue is the transaction. And the majority said no, it's not allowed, because it's a form of approval. But like I said, you have to balance it. Now this is very important. In issues of fiqh, you have to balance. There is no one shoe fits all situation. You could be of the opinion that this is the way that I pray, for example, or this is the way that I give zakat, or this is the way that I fast in Ramadan, or something like that. But this is a very important point that we have to understand here. If there is a maslahah, if there is a benefit which will bring about goodness, even though you don't feel that that is the right opinion, you're not fatwa shopping, you're not changing the religion, you're not saying, oh, I'm doing it for my own convenience. You're doing it so that other people will benefit. Is there evidence for this? There is evidence for this. The Prophet ﷺ had the Kaaba in the way that we see the Kaaba today. He says to Aisha, had your people not been converted into Islam just recently, I would have destroyed it and I would have built it like the way that Ibrahim built the Kaaba, like a rectangle. But I will leave it the way it is. The Prophet ﷺ did not destroy the Kaaba even though he knew that this is not the correct form of the Kaaba. For what? For a greater benefit. So then what about us raising our hands and anything else, accepting gifts or anything else? So now the issue is looking at, there's two things. You have to follow what is correct according to the dalil. There is no doubt about that. But the Muslim who has a good understanding of his religion of fiqh will also weigh into what is the correct opinion as to where is the benefit. Yes, brother.
My question is not based on this topic.
Yeah.
It's based on the prayer that we pray these days.
Okay.
The distance prayer.
Yeah.
If, for example, I'm praying in the masjid after a distance, is
Yeah.
it enough for us to do that?
Well, I am of the opinion that the mask is wajib and the distancing is wajib. This is my own personal opinion. As for the salawat being accepted, then there is no disagreement between the ulama that the salah is valid. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah in Majmu' Fatawa, I think it's in the 28th chapter, he gives us something which is very important. If you can't stand and pray, how do you pray? Okay, is standing a pillar, or is it something that I can choose whether I stand or not? I'm talking about wajib prayers. You have to. If you pray sitting down in an obligatory prayer when you are able to stand up, your salah is invalid, and there is no disagreement. He said, rahimahullah, if the gaps cannot be brought closer or straightened, then this is more appropriate for us to say that the salah will be valid because of the fact that standing can be excused because of a need, because of an illness in the situation that we have here. The majority of the ulama have said having gaps closed is mustahab and it is not wajib. Mustahab is not wajib. The Hanbalis have said that it is wajib, that the gaps must be closed. But if the gaps are not closed, if there's if there's like a meter distance, people are standing separate, is the salah valid? The majority of the ulama have said it is valid. Except the Hanabila, again, because they said it was wajib. If a person prays behind the saf, alone, away from the jama'ah, by himself, then they have said that the salah is invalid for that person. But they have given specifics on that as well. So they have said if he was able to find a space, if he's not able to find a space, then he is excused. If he is to the left of the imam, then he is not excused. There's details in their madhab. But just to give you an understanding, this is important, because even in Leicester, where I'm from, people are saying, look what you're doing in the masajid, they're destroying the Salatul Jama'ah. Again, what we said earlier, there's one thing of the correct opinion, but then having fiqh and insight and wisdom in implementing that. So I will say to you, my brother, there is no harm in that, because of the fact that there is dalil and there are views from the different madhahib which say that the salah is valid. Inshallah. Yes,
Last question.
There are some mosques that we hear, maybe their aqidah, they might have something, not very true.
Yeah.
But sometimes in the place there is no other masjids to pray.
Yeah.
And when I pray behind them, so their salah itself, there is nothing wrong with the prayer or the salah itself.
Okay, so the question...
Can I pray behind them?
The question is, can I pray behind somebody whose aqidah is not the aqidah of Ahl Sunnah?
Yeah, I'm not sure also. I didn't ask him specifically, but
Excellent. Jazakallah khair. That's very important. Number one, Ahl Sunnah believe that whoever says La ilaha illallah, we treat him as a Muslim, We love him for the sake of Allah. We advise him. We give him the same haqq as you would do to anybody else. There is no difference between Salafi and non-Salafi here. You see a Muslim, you treat him for what he is. You don't have any suspicion. You don't have any doubt. That then starts to go down when you start seeing certain things. So now he's following a madhab and he doesn't care for following the haqq. For example, I'm not saying following a madhab is wrong, I'm just giving an example that he doesn't follow our ulama, for example. He has certain practices that I've seen him do. Now that goes down. Is he still a Muslim? Yes. Do we still give him salam? Yes. Do we still give him advice? Yes. But it's not the same as a person who is higher. I know him, I know his aqeedah, I know who he follows, I see his practices, he's a man of taqwa, he's always in the masjid. He's much higher than this one, because this man here, even though he prays every day, etc., he's going down slowly because I see certain things, but he's still Muslim, la ilaha illallah. The ulama have said that there are two categories now. So that's one category, that's two categories. Now from the third category, when we know that the person is from the people of bid'ah, that is of two categories also. You know that his bid'ah, you know for certain that his bid'ah is not the level of kufr and shirk. There's no kufr and shirk. Can you give me an example of bid'ah which is not kufr and shirk that you could find in a masjid? Dua after salah in congregation. Anything else? Congregation of dhikr. Anything else? Celebrating the Prophet's birthday? Is that kufr, is that shirk, or is that bid'ah? In itself it's bid'ah. So this, the ulama have said that this is bid'ah al-mufassiqa. There's a bid'ah which is mukaffira, which is that if a person has kufr, innovated ideas, you cannot pray behind that person. His salah alone himself is not valid, let alone praying behind. He is not the person that should be praying behind. Now, when it comes to the people who have bid'ah, which is not the level of kufr, those people too now, because remember what we said here, they're going down, 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 normally their actions have some kind of connection to the other one. So you have to be careful, but you still treat them as Muslim, la ilaha illallah. Can you say la ilaha? I've not seen anything from him to say that he's not. Just because he does the milad doesn't mean that he's supplicating to the Prophet ﷺ. But there is a strong indication that he believes in something which is kufr now. So you need to be careful. Now with that, the time of the Salaf, until now, the ulama of Ahl Sunnah say you shouldn't be praying in those places. Stick to the places of Sunnah. But if you have to pray in those places, then you need to look at these two. And like what you've just said, with the situation that you've said, I don't see anything wrong. The Salah is being prayed with the pillars and the obligatory parts being established. I don't see anything, kufr in the masjid. Inshallah, but pray to the best of your ability in the masjid of Sunnah. Barakallahu feekum. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all and bless your households and keep you all firm and keep you all safe, and that Allah blessed this masjid. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put khair and barakah in this place, and that it makes it as a beacon and an illumination for the people of Nottingham. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك